Alright everybody, I haven't put up a video in a bit. My voice has been a little dead and I haven't been feeling the best, but I guess it's time to... Why am I wearing a headset? Why am I wearing a headset, guys? That's nutty. It's time to talk about it. May 8th, 1.0. So let's just quickly talk through this article, what they've said in the past, and what this generically kind of means for DD2 overall. Now, I will admit, I did not sit through any of this. Hey, I think I was working through it. Yeah, 11. Yeah, I'm pretty sure I was working through that. Haven't watched it. Honestly, I don't really care to either, on the sole fact that, yeah, I'm sure it was a fun time, but I'd like to see it before people just talk about it. So we're excited to see Dark Sun will be complete early access, blah, 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 blah. 1.0 on May 8th. All of this Project Hood cannot get weight into your hands. Yeah. A few major updates undertake. Yes, including very big ones soon. I don't think it's dropped yet, so I'm assuming it's, as I record this, is February 11th. I think I'll get it up today. And they got less than 3 months, so they pretty much need to. Free demo. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, so that's just if you want to give it out for free. Okay, so essentially, this was just to say, hey, it's coming out May 8th. I believe I saw something where someone was talking about, I think it's like animals and something, the pets and something else. So I want to go back to this. What they still need to do, and I need to double check. So they're all done with the coming next. There's the coming after that now. And hold on, my dogs. Firefly. The noise. Sorry, my dog's just making a gross noise. All right, Act 4 still needs to come out. Relationship rework actually done, so cross that off. New Hero 2 needs to be done. Collector needs to be done. Driving improvements needs... Now, that's interesting, because when they say driving improvements, that might be the last big mechanical part of this game that could make it, for some people, more enjoyable. I honestly believe at this point, if you don't enjoy the game that much, I'm not sure what they can do that will make you like it more. Obviously, I've released videos in the past where I've critiqued, and sometimes rather harshly, Red Hook. I'm on the fence of the game, to me, as of now, with its current mechanics and setup, is average. That's just my opinion. If you want to ask why, I can do it in the comments below, and I will be doing a video probably 2.5 months from now, once the game is relatively complete. They'll obviously add more content after May 8th. They're not done. They're going to have a lot of reworks. We're going to talk about why. But the driving improvements, it's the last pre-release of 1.0. And maybe pets in a weird way. If pets are involved in combat or the road, they will add a slight mechanical change, but I don't think they're going to be massive. They may actually do nothing. I hope they kind of do nothing, because not to say the game's easy, but if you have even more additional help and they keep the game at the same difficulty, we need to talk about that then. Driving improvements. Right now, driving is literally walking. You double tap W, you do your stuff on the way. I know some people get mad. They're like, well, you're not supposed to be managing inventory and skills while you're driving. I don't know. I do it all the time, and I beat the game just fine almost every time. So it's really just a walking mechanic. So do you mean it's going to be smoother, quicker? Are there actually going to be things you have to do? I don't know. And maybe this was answered in the Q&A. But like I said, that's the last... What I generically want to say, this is the last big opportunity pre- and post-release that they can really change the game mechanically. The rest of this is content. For example, Act 4 boss, that's content. You just have to figure out, how do we balance the boss? How does the boss interact with you? Design, content. Not really going to be introducing too many new mechanics. Relationship rework was the mechanic. They pretty much should be done with that. It's pretty simple now, which is good. New Hero 2, content, unless they add a new mechanic. For example, like adding the shield breaker and the flag to the first game were actually mechanic changes, because I don't think there was ever... well, I know there wasn't a block token, but I don't think any hero had a restoration token either. So restoration and block tokens were added with those two DLCs. It added an extra layer of mechanics along with the content. So as long as they keep the heroes within the same boundaries as they currently have, the new heroes will be content. I think for now, it would be smart to keep the 2 new heroes in the world of content, release DLC as mechanics, because you only have less than 3 months to get everything decently well. And if they want to do all of this, and they don't have to, if they want to do all of this before the release on May 8th, it's going to be a crunch. Now, what would I say you can probably put to the side? Hero or origin skins playable, like, I don't want to say who cares, but I'm going to say who cares. Like, that can come after. That's not going to make or break the game. It may not take a lot of time, but do you really want to spend even days? Because at this point, you have days left. You have less than a quarter year. And face it, that last week or two, up to May 8th, you're probably not really making content. You're probably just trying to tie a bow on your game. So really, you have 2.5 months from today. Yeah, you probably have about 2.5 months from today of like pure push content, create, make sure it's balanced. I think hero skins, and honestly, one of these mini bosses, who cares? Like, if you gotta sacrifice something, get rid of the secret mini boss, release it a couple of weeks after the game's out, continue to spice it up, and that, right? Like, if this can save you even a week's worth of work or someone else's time, do it. What they absolutely need to nail is whatever these driving improvements are going to be. The 2 new heroes, and the bosses need to get better on initial release. Act 2, the Seething Sigh, was atrocious upon release, and it happens. It takes a lot of time to figure out how to make bosses unique and balance them. I actually think the Seething Sigh is in a good place now, but I also think, I forget how long it's been. Didn't that release in May of 2022? So it's been 9 months. Obviously they fixed it before 9 months. I'm not saying they just fixed it yesterday, but my point was, it took a bit. Now, they were also obviously distracted with continuing the game. So if these bosses are not ideally balanced, they should probably be fixed relatively quickly, which is very good. Focus Fault, first half, it's rather unique and good. Second half, it's literally the epitome of what they don't want the game to be. Rush damage. So I think the Focus Fault is flawed. I don't know how they fix it. I don't think they will pre 1.0, and that's okay. It's not like the bosses make or break the game. You're going to like or dislike the game before you ever reach a final boss. The final bosses should obviously feel rewarding, be balanced and fun, but they're definitely not going to be the thing that makes people want to play or not play your game. They may add to it. Like, if you're already liking the game and you play a really cool boss, you're going to be like, oh yeah, nice bosses, cool. If you're kind of disliking this game and then you get to one of the bosses that aren't so great, you're going to go, oh, like this it's just additional, it's just going to add on. It's not going to make or break. They're either going to like the relationship system. They're going to like the Slay the Spire format. They're going to like, playing one team for 2 to 3. Like, the bosses are really just to add on to the people who like the game and make it more rewarding. Obviously, you don't want the bosses to be bad, and my whole point is they can get away with bosses not being great right away, but I think if they really obviously want to have the best initial release. And I have to go back. Yeah, Epic and Steam. Okay, as I'll say, I for some reason I thought I missed that. So we all know the online community. I'm part of that, and I have also done this as well. People can do knee-jerk reactions. I've done that. I'll just admit it right here. So you don't want the game to really have any flaws within the first 10 to 20 hours. You're already going to have people unjustly, and I would like to say I'm not in this camp. Some people may try to put me in this camp, but I don't think I'm in this camp. I never disliked things in this game because it was not Darkest Dungeon 1. You're going to already naturally have people who, for some reason, have not followed the game or literally watch any videos or clips of how the game's laid out. So you're already unjustly going to get burned by people saying, it's not DD1. It's like, yes, of course it's not. Did you watch anything? Like, don't buy the game, post a review on Steam just to dumpster the score because you didn't check it. Like, that's not fair. Now, I don't know the extent of that. It might be like 5 people. Could be 500. And we've talked about this many a times. You need to survive the crash landing. So anything you can do to put aside those negative things for the first week or two so you can glide through fairly well, because the score's only going to go up. Like, if they start off at like 75, that's probably the lowest this game will ever be, right? Like, on the initial release should be the lowest this game ever will be at for Steam. So if you can survive the initial release with enough good reviews, and then the next weeks to come, when people actually play 20, 30, 40 hours, they can give a proper review, not the first 5-hour review. You can't choose multiple heroes and Hamlet's gone, it sucks. You know, like, once you get past those people, hopefully the 20, 30, 40-hour people are going to be like, okay, you know, please ignore people who actually didn't play the game. Obviously, yes, it's not DD1, but X, Y, and Z are good. So my whole point is, make sure the heroes are good. Make sure the driving improvements are noticeably enticing right away for the new player. You're going to have your diehards who are going to play regardless. And you're going to have your people who are going to hate this game regardless of what you do. You need to get that middle audience. The middle audience is more reasonable. Because I am not in the reasonable audience anymore. I play this game because I've invested so much of my life making videos about it, following it. To be perfectly honest, I would not have played this game if I would have just picked it up randomly. That's just my personal opinion, but I've still watched it long enough to give objective reasoning when I'm not sleep deprived. The one video I did back in June was after my kid was born, within a few months, I think. I was a little sleep deprived, and, you know, my patience was very thin. Things I mentioned in there, some of them got fixed, but some of them stayed the same. So I still think the game's average, but that's okay. Not every game is going to be amazing. Not everything a company does you're going to like. You probably have a favorite artist who has made songs where you're like, I'm not feeling this one. Doesn't mean you think the artist as a whole sucks, where you can't understand why someone else would like it. It's just not your style. And this game is sadly just not my style, but I do want to just kind of see where this ends up in the future. And to wrap this up, if you've been watching all this, I know I kind of went on a side tangent there, and I might delete some of that because this really is about the update. The bosses need to be reasonable. They're going to be getting pumped out quick. I mean, it's going to be pretty much be a boss a month and a hero a month. So they're going to be going through a lot quickly. They just need to make sure they're at least initially balanced. Like, there's actual reason to pick them. One of these son of guns need to be a 4th position hero. I think it is crucial you stop frontlining. There's enough frontliners. You need a 4th position hero. And I'm not even saying 3rd, like a 4th position hero. I think the Grave Robber and the Occultist are kind of weak right now, and they typically would be one of your 4th position people. It's pretty much pick Plague Doctor or Runaway for your 4th position. So either buff Grave Robber, Occultist, or make a new one that can do 3rd or 4th. New Hero 2 would be kind of cool if it's like a hybrid role, if they could go maybe like a weird 3rd position, but it's like really strong 1, 2. That'd be really nice as well. So that way you don't feel like you have to pick the Highwayman or Hellion the whole time. Secret mini boss, like I said, I think they should hold off. You mentioned the Collector by name. You already have an idea of what the Collector is probably going to do, so definitely get the Collector out. Overall, it'll be interesting to see the amount of content they pump out in the next 2.5 months. I personally think they're pushing it very close, but as we've mentioned a million times, it is content, so it's probably a little easier to push out. Their damage systems are already set, so balancing damage shouldn't be that hard. And yeah, the hardest thing is going to be probably nailing those heroes down, making their shrines, making their backstories, the animations. I would assume the new heroes are actually going to take the longest to make and make them well. So let me know what your thoughts are on the new things they're going to do. Pets, like I said, I don't... If the pets are not mechanically related, I do not care. Pets are something, if they are not mechanically related, to be honest, should have been done after 1.0. I don't think they should have wasted any time. Like I said, if they mentioned that in Q&A, sorry, I didn't watch it. It was probably long. But that's why I also didn't talk about pets very long time, because I'm not going to talk about things I did not really research.